Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome to CodeFi's second workshop. In today's workshop, we're going to be looking at EECS tools and resources for your classes. And I'm going to be taking over the Windows side of this portion of the workshop, and Wumsy and Pranav will take over the Mac side of the workshop. So the first thing we're going to start off with is the graphical user interface, which is mostly common for any coder or any workshop, and also in the job field. So we're going to be looking at a tool called Winscp, and this tool would be used to basically transfer files over your local to your host, and the host in this case would be our URQ server. So I really recommend this one for Windows, especially because it's very easy to use, and also it auto saves everything that you do or edit. So once you download this, open up Winscp, and once you open it up, it will prompt you to either log in, or either if you want to save your site, you would click on New Site and select the protocol FTP. FTP stands for File Transfer Protocol. And for the host name, we're going to be using our red.eecs.urq.ca, and our port number, leave it as 21. Our username, we're going to put our username that we used, and our password would be, well, whatever your EECS password is. So you can log in here. But let's say if you don't have an EECS account. So what you would do is go to URQ EECS account, search that up on Google, and look for Activate. And this is for basically activating your Prism account, which will be used for EECS courses. So just head over and click Start and put your student number, last name, and birth date. And I believe it takes around 20 minutes to 24 hours to activate. So after you're done this, you should be able to log in and do some SSH and file transfers from your local to your EECS account. So once you're done this, head back over to your Winscp, and I'm going to connect to my URQ account here. So as you can see, username red.eecs.urq.ca. So you would click login. It's going to connect. It's going to give you this this notice that everybody gets. We also need to put our password. So I will put my password here. And there you go. So this window is really easy to understand. I'll full screen it. So in this case, you can see on my left side, it's my local, and on my right side is the red, the EECS URQ server. So let's do some simple stuff like transferring files from your local to your server. So I'm gonna head over to my desktop, and actually I'm gonna head over to my 2030 to 2020, and I'm gonna transfer this file called tutorial. All you have to do is just drag and drop, and that's it. You're done for that side. So now let's say you want to do it from SSH from your command prompt. So you would search up CMD and open it up, and then you would use something like this. It's called SSH, and you put your username, and then you put the, like that, and then you put your URQ's EECS server, which is red.eecs.urq.ca. Like that. Press enter. It will ask you to enter your password, and then you can log in. Now this is for Windows people, obviously. So if you do not have the SSH command and it gives you some type of error once you put this line here and doesn't give you something like what you're seeing right here, it's either that your account's not activated, or it's either that you don't have the command SSH installed onto your Windows. You can either do a quick Google search on how to install the SSH client on Windows 10, or you can use something called PuTTY. I'm pretty sure most of your process will use something like Putty to log in because it is its own separate client and it doesn't require you to install SSH. So it's simple, like I explained you before. So inside of port 22, you would put 21. You would also put, sorry, not 21, 22 because it's SSH. You put your host name, which is red.eecs.yorku.ca. And then once you do this, you click open. Oh, sorry, I forgot to put .ca. Let me putty red.eecs.yorku.ca. There we go. Let me check that. Yep, 22, and then you press OK, and then it will prompt you with login as. So this is where you put your username, and then obviously it's the exact same format as the other one, and you put your password, and then obviously it's exact same terminal wise. So either you can use Putty if you don't have SSH, and if you do have SSH, you can use the command prompt on your Windows. So like before I transfer the files over here, so I'm gonna just show you that it actually successfully did transfer. So if I go to CD 2032-2020 and do the command ls, and you can see that the folder was moved here. So let's say if I were to delete this here and click refresh here and then go back here and click ls again, you can see that the tutorial folder was deleted. Now I will let Whimsy go over more of the Mac side of the basically like the graphical user interface. He's going to be using something called CyberDuck. It's very similar to Winscp, and yeah, basically I'm gonna let him take that let him do all the CyberDuck and also this new command called SCP, which is from terminal, and you will not have a graphical interface. So I'll let Whimsy do that.
Yeah, thank you, Amin. So basically, I'll be teaching you how to do the same thing, but using Mac or Linux. I don't think WinSCP is on Mac, so another alternate solution for that would be CyberDuck. They do FTP, SFTP, and so on. So actually, it's free to use this application. You can download for free. It's actually also available on Windows, but since I have a Mac, I'll show you how it looks from the Mac side of things. So once you download it, you're gonna have a small application like this, and the first thing you're gonna do is press Open Connection, and select. You can do SSH file transfer protocol, or you can do FTP. I do SSH file transfer protocol. It's pretty much the same thing. This one. So okay, so for server, I think Amin already talked about this. It's the same thing as WinSCP. Your server is going to be red.eecs.yorku.ca, and your username is whatever your EECS username is, and your password is whatever your EECS password is from the Prism Lab. I think Amin already talked about how to make an account and everything. So once you're done typing your username and password, you just connect to the server, and yep. So now you're inside the EECS server. This is all the files that are existing in my Prism Lab computer and my EECS account. So this is one way to do file transfer or retrieve any files from your Prism Lab computers from your house, and basically I'll show you. Actually, I'll show you a simple one. You can also, for example, let's just say you have any files on your desktop that you like to submit, like a lab file. You can just drag and drop, and that would also work too. Like for example, you can just drag and drop, and it does it. It does it by itself. So okay, let's just clean it up and allow. So yeah, you can just copy and paste just like that. You can just drag and drop and it copies. Now, if you go to your Prism Lab computers or the red.eecs server, this file is now there, whatever you just dragged and dropped from your desktop. So this is another way to do it other than WinSCP. But the traditional way to do it, I'm gonna just delete this and then I'll show you how to do it using the traditional way. So the traditional way, how do you transfer files or connect to a EECS server from house is using terminal and some bash commands. So every like MacBook user interface or every Mac OS uh, is given, I think terminal is already there like default, just like command prompt. It's a Mac version of command prompt. So you can access the red.ecs.yoq.ca server from your house using terminal, and it's pretty simple. I'll show you how to do that. So okay, let me just close this for a second. Okay, close CyberDuck. Okay, so let's just say I'm in 2030, and I'm doing lab 6, for example, and I did some homework, and I'm submitting the lab files. So first thing I would do is I'd first log into the server or connect to the server using SSH. I think Amin already went over this, but it's the same command. So you type in your username, red.ecs.yoq.ca, and then after you do that, it's going to ask you for your password. So type in your ECS York password. Not your passport York, your ECS account. So once you do that, now you're inside the server. After you're inside the server, um, usually most students we have a submit folder. Whenever we access the red.ecs server from home, we usually put everything into the submit folder. But for this workshop, I'm gonna do a testing folder. So to create a folder using terminal, you just do mkdir testing. So and one other commands of I guess bash and command prompt is it's ls mkdir is to make a directory. Ls is to show whatever's inside the directory, and cd is um, like going to the directory.
Changing
So
directory.
changing directory. Sorry.
Yeah.
Thanks, Amin. So
No problem.
changing directory cd. So when I just type in cd, I'm at the home on my server, and as you can see, I created a new folder called testing. So now I'm gonna go inside the server, inside the testing folder. So cd and the space testing, and then as you can see, it's empty. I'll create two new small folders. I'll create make mkdir. I'll do lab 6, and then I'll create one more just so you can. I'll show you like a lab 7. Okay, fine. So now the folder has 2 new folders. That's how you create new folders and new directories. And yeah, so these files we have, right? So this is my desktop right now. This Finder window is my desktop. This terminal is my ECS. So let me just clear a second so everyone. Okay. So okay. So testing. So okay. So we have these 2 folders. So what I'm going to do is for this tutorial sake, I'll try to put car.java file in lab 6 and poker.java file in lab 7, just to show how to transfer files using terminal. So now I know which files I'm going to transfer to. I'm going to open a new terminal window. Okay, so new window, and so on the left I have my desktop, whatever is on my desktop. On my right, this terminal window is whatever is in the ECS server. So now I'm going to try to find these files where they're located on my desktop. So well, for this tutorial, I made it really easy, and I saved them all on my desktop inside a folder called forward lab 6. So all I have to do is just to cd ls, and then I see all my files and everything. So I go to desktop, cd space desktop. If you just press, let's just say you have only one folder called desktop. So one of the simple, I guess, tricks while using command prompt or bash or like terminal is you just have to type in the first couple of keywords and then you press tab and it autofills for you. So now I'm inside my desktop. As you can see, there's only 2 folders, so we know that's right. And I'm trying to go into this folder right here, FWD Lab 6. So I'm gonna do cd space FWD Lab 6. I'll just do tab, and then now I have all the files inside. So as I said before, I'll be putting car.java file inside of this lab 6 directory I made, this right here, and I'll put poker.java inside lab 7. So let me show you how that's done. All you have to do is a simple command called scp. So scp, and then type in the file name. So car.java, it's here. So I'll show you how to do it all at once, like all the files at once, right after this. So, but let me just do this. Let me just do car.java. So car.java, and you have to do space. Wait just a second. Yeah, so here's you can always access this website. It's on the EECS website. If you're ever lost, it has all the commands. So for example, let me just go back to this. Okay, so car.java, and then your username at red.ecs.yoq.ca, and now you're going to press semicolon. Sorry, type in semicolon, and pick the folder. So in this case, the folder is testing, and I'm going to do a slash because I'm not storing this inside this testing folder itself. I'm going to be storing inside a folder inside a testing folder called lab 6. So I'm going to do slash lab 6. And then after you enter, it's going to ask you to type in your password, your EECS yoq password. So now that's done. It's transferred. So let me go into lab 6 folder here. Let's see if it's there. As you can see, it's there. So car.java is now officially inside lab 6 folder on your red.ecs. So what I just did to summarize is I transferred this file right here on my desktop to the EECS server, and that's how you do it. Any lab file or midterm file, anything, you can do it like that. And it doesn't have to be a Java file. It can be a C, MATLAB, anything. So I said I was going to do poker.java into the other one. It's the same task, same thing. But let me just show it so everyone understands once again. So I just type in scp, and I do poker.java because we're in the same directory. I don't have to type in cd and all that stuff. So poker.java, my username at red.ecs, yourq.ca, semicolon, testing, and then slash, because I'm putting it inside the folder inside a folder. So lab 7. And it's going to ask me for my password again, or it should.
I believe it's slow. Just wait it out.
Yeah, it's taking a little time, but yeah, here you go. It's asking for my password. So yep. So now poker.java is also inside it's inside my lab 7. So once you're already in a folder, like once you're already inside a directory, let's just say, or a folder, how to go back to the root is you do cd and then space dot dot, and now you're inside the testing folder. So that's one way. That's one of the commands you can use. Make sure you remember that. That's really helpful when you're in crunch time and trying to access different directories. So hey, let's just check if poker.java is transferred to lab 7. It is. So there's that. So that's basically how you do it. How you transfer files into from your local desktop to your local desktop using Mac or Linux to the red.ecs server. And I think one more thing I was going to show is, oh yeah, let's just say, okay, these are all the files you need to submit, and you want to submit them all at once. All you have to do is, here, let me just do I'll just create a new directory inside of testing. So I do cd dot dot to go back to my testing. I'll just create make director, make dir, sorry, lab all. Okay, now there's a new folder, lab all. In that, I'm gonna store all these Java files or whatever files you have. Let's just say you want to store all these into this folder on your ECS server. All you have to do is just do SCP. Make sure you're inside the directory. I didn't change anything, so I'm still in the directory. So SCP star, and then my same thing, my name, red.ecs.yorq.ca, semicolon, testing, and then slash the folder name, which was lab all. Okay, so I do that. Okay, yeah, it's gonna ask me for my password every time I do that. Every time I do scp command, and I type in my password. As you can see, all my files that are inside this fwd lab 6 folder are now transferred onto my ECS server to the folder lab all. So let me just confirm that. Yep, they're all there. So there's that. So that's basically the essence of it. That's how you do how you use terminal. This is usually the way they teach you in ECS courses how to do, and it takes a bit of bash knowledge. It's not too hard, and there's not too many commands. And for some reason, if you want more this is a pretty detailed tutorial, but let's just say you want a written tutorial. This website can help you with that. So I'm gonna let Amin talk more about bash, like some of the bash commands you'll be using in your ECS courses in first, second, third year, fourth year, and even some of the commands he's going to teach you are used in 2032 in other courses. So Amin, go ahead.
All right, thank you, Wamsi. All right, so everyone, we're going to be going over some really kind of like the most basic commands that we're going to be using in EECS courses. This can include your 1021, 2031, 2032, and many other EECS courses that require you to submit and edit on the EECS servers. So the first thing we're going to be looking at is the command called pwd. Now, what this command stands out for is called parent working directory. And if you enter this on the terminal, it will show you the folder that you're in. Now, if you're used to either Mac or Windows, you will probably notice that half of your, for example, I'm gonna pull this out here. Give me a second. So like half of the stuff here, for example, is listed on the top, like all your path, you know which directory you're in and blah, blah, blah. So for on your EECS server, you would probably notice that there's no indication on what type of directory you're in. So you would use the command called pwd. And also, if you don't know what a command is used for, or you don't understand when to use it, and you don't know what the description of the command is, you would use something called manual, short form for man. And then what this command does is it gives you a descriptive information on the command. So if I do man space pwd, it will show you basically the description and how to use it and some other parameters that you can use. So in this case, it shows you the print name of the current / working directory. And that's one of the commands. So I'm gonna obviously clear. If you do clear, that will clear the terminal. And let's go over some basic commands with the folders. So you might notice here on my graphical user interface that I have two folders on my EECS server. So let's confirm this by doing CD. And also, like Whimsy explained, CD is for change directory. So I would go to my folder that is listed at or stored at. So if I do pwd, you can see that I'm in the directory of 2032. And also the command list, which Whimsy also explained, ls, simple command. And you can see that we have the two folders here. We have folder 1 and folder 2. Now, since Whimsy already explained how to copy from terminal, a folder from terminal from your local to your host, which is the red server, I'm not going to be showing you that, and I'll be using the graphical user interface here. So let's say you want to drag one of the files in here. You would basically grab any file from your local host. In this case, I'm going to be using the script.sh, and you just drag it over. So we dragged it in the folder 1, right? So if I were to go to folder 1, and yeah, so one more thing about the tab. Once you press tab and there's already a folder that is similar to any other folders, they will list out all of them. So you get to choose which one you want. So in this case, I would put 1 and then press tab again, and then it would autofill. So here, if I do pwd, we are in the folder 1. And if I do ls, you can see that our file was successfully transferred here. So that's basically just moving files like Whimsy and also I explained before. Pretty simple stuff. And also just going into the directory and looking at the parent working directory. So what we're going to do now is basically go back to our folder, which is called the 2030, 2020. And we are in here now. So if I do this, you can again check 2032, 2020. So we know that our file that we stored is in folder 1. So let's use this another command called move. So mv over here, it stands for move. And what this does is used for moving files from one place to another. So let's go into our folder 1 where our file is located, just to make sure we do ls and see our files here. And I will show you that there's nothing in folder 2 here. Obviously it's empty. And to move this file now, you do mv, the file that you're trying to move. So in this case, script.sh. And then after you put this, you press space. And then after that, you need to choose the directory that you want to move it to. So we noticed that the folder 2 is located in 2032, 2020. And we are currently in this directory right here. So, sorry, not this directory, we're in the folder 1 directory. So what we need to do is first go back to our 2032, 2020 folder. So as you can see, if I do .. this will take me back into my 2020 folder. So from here on, now I can basically select the folder 2 here. So now you can see that it automatically shows that there is a folder 2 inside that. And you press enter here. And then now if I were to clear this, actually I should not clear right now. So if I were to go back to our 2032 folder and go into folder 2 and then do ls, now you can see our script.sh has been moved. If I refresh the server here, you can see that in folder 2, the script.sh was also moved. And in folder 1, there is, I believe this should be gone now. I believe there's a graphical interface glitch there. So if I were to go to folder 1 here, cd, and then folder 1, and do ls, you can see that there's nothing in that folder at all. This sometimes happens where the file still shows that it's in there. That's just the latency error. But yeah, if you just keep pressing the refresh button, you can see that it will no longer show that there. So that's a basic command. I'm going to clear my terminal. So far we covered our pwd, we covered mv, and then we also covered our cd and ls. So let's go on a little bit into copying files. So if I were to clear this and look at my working directory, I'm in folder 1 right now. And if I do ls, there's obviously nothing in there. So let's say you want to copy the file that's inside folder 2, which is called script.sh, and put it back into our folder 1. So in order to do that, we would go back into our folder 2. So I'm gonna head over there, folder 2, and I do ls, and you can see our script.sh is in here. Now, mb command right here can be used for renaming files as well. What I mean by that is, if you were to do script.sh, you can rename this folder. Now, instead of putting a parameter to move it somewhere else, you can move it, but also change the name of it. So let me just give an example before I go over to CP actually. So if I were to do move script.sh and then rename it to renamed.sh, and you need to first put the folder that you're trying to transfer it to. So we're gonna put this in the folder 1, and then we're gonna put another slash here, and then we're gonna put the name of the file now. So that we're trying to rename it to. So I'm gonna put renamed .sh. So if I do that, and if I do ls, obviously the folder is no longer in this folder. It should be in our folder 1. So if I do sh, you can see that our file is now renamed and also moved from folder 2 to folder 1. So now let's say you want to copy this back to what I was going to explain earlier. So let's say you want to copy this now from folder 1 to folder 2. Simple as the command move, you do cp, and you will put the file name that you're trying to copy. So it will, this command basically will copy this, but also move it to folder 2. So it will keep the copy in the same folder, folder 1, and also make a copy in folder 2. So I would do -- folder 2, like that. ls, and then you can see if I go to cd folder 2 now, this file should also be there. And you can see that this folder is also in our folder 1. So you can see I'm currently in folder 1. The file is also here. If I were to go to cd back and then go back into cd folder 2 and do ls, you can see that the file was also copied into folder 2. So that's basically some of the basic stuff for your terminal and your classes. And now let's say you want to make, let's say you want to make a directory. I think Whimsy already covered this. It's pretty simple, mkdir. And for this sake of this tutorial, I'm also going to make another folder here. So you can see that in if I do pwd, I'm in folder 2, and I made a directory called test. Now let's move on to our second command, which is relevant to the one I just did. It's called remove directory. So it's called rmdir, and you would choose a directory in this case, because obviously you put dir, and then this would delete that folder. If I do ls, test is no longer there, and that's deleted. So you might be wondering, do we use that same command for files? No, you do not, because that command is only and strictly used for directory deleting directories. So let's say you want to remove this file. So you would do rm, and just put rm, no dir, just rm, and then you would choose the name of the folder, the name of the file, and you press enter. And then it would ask you, do you want to remove this regular file? You would either press, you either type yes, or you can put y in short, and N for no, and then you can also type in no. So that's the remove command. So I also want to touch upon this one more command. It's called, let me make a directory here. So test2, and also let me move a file in there. So let me refresh this, go back in here, folder 2, These are folder 1. Yeah, no, not this one. There we go. So let me move this in here. Okay, so ls, we have the directory called test, right? And we also, if you go into cd test, we notice that there is a file inside, right? So let's say you're in the folder folder 2, and if you do ls and you see that there's a folder called test, right? What you want to, let's say you want to delete this folder, and you run the command like I told you, rmdir, and you do test, and then if you press enter, you can see it gives you an error. It says fail to remove test, directory is not empty. Now, either there's two ways to do this. Either you can go inside the test folder and delete all the files that are inside, and also the directories that are inside. But you can also do this command, which is called rm-r, and then here, let me just do man rm, and let me just show you what r does in this case. So basically, the -r recursively deletes all the files that are inside the folder. So we know that there's a file inside the test folder. So we want to obviously remove it. So you do rm-test. And what this does is, instead of giving you this error that it says it's not empty, this will actually recursively go through all the files that are inside the test folder, delete them first, then delete the folder itself. So as you can see, descend into directory test, and then you would say yes. And now it will try to find all the files that are inside the test folder. So you would delete obviously the script.sh that we're trying to show in this tutorial. So you would choose yes. And then as you can see at the end, it recursively brought back to its original directory. So it deleted everything that's inside first, then it's going to delete itself over here. So you would do yes here as well. So if I do ls again, you can see it's empty. And if you were to do pwd, you can still see that I'm still in folder 2. And if you notice in folder 2, there was a directory called test, and now it's deleted. So that covers the main commands that you will use, and more likely to use every single time that you open up a shell terminal. And we have one more command, I believe, actually 3 more commands that we're going to be looking over. And let me clear my terminal real quick and go back to my, okay, yeah, so one more thing. If you do CD and the squiggly line here, the squiggly line is like right under your escape button. If you're on Windows, I don't know about Mac where it is, but it's that little squiggly approximation symbol. And if you do this, it will take you to the root of your machine. So if I do pwd, it will take you to your username directory, which has all these like normal, I guess, directories that are listed in there. So I'm gonna go over this command called cat, and what this does is basically it concats all the strings and joins them, and it prints it out. So if I were to go back into our 2032 folder and then go to our folder 1, and if I were to do ls, and I wanted to basically, let's say you want to spit out all the content that is inside this file. So you would use cat. So you do cat renamed, and if you do this, everything's inside here. All of this gibberish that I previously put inside this renamed.sh is inside there. So that's one way to view it. You can also do head, and what this does is head, when you run this command, it looks at the first 10 lines by default. By default, it will look at all the lines that are inside your script file or any type of file that you're looking at. So if you were to count this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, there's only 9 lines in here. So it will spit out the first 10 and whatever that is before that. So if I do head renamed, you can also get the same result, but in this case, it would be only 10. So let's say you want to only spit out the first 2 lines, right? So you would use head dash K or N, sorry, N stands for number of lines. So you would put dash N and then followed by the numbers of the lines that you want to spit out. In this case, let's do 3. And then you choose your file name right here. And you can see it prints out only the 3. So 1, 2, and 3. And another command that's opposite to head is called tail. And if you do the same command, and also it does default 10 lines, but it does it from the bottom to up. So basically, if you were to specify some, let's say I want to do 5 lines, right? The last 5 lines of the file, I would use renamed.sh, and you can see here that it prints out the last 5 lines of the folder. So that's basically a simple way to just view your file. Now you might be wondering, how do you edit on terminal? There's many ways that you can use this. You can either utilize the command called Vim, and Vim is an editor. Most of you guys might know this if you have used this before, but I personally don't like this, so I'm gonna not use this. Let me see how I can quit this. If I were to do this, I think it's Q. Yeah, so I don't like this editor, mainly due to like how complicated it is. I use something called Nano. Let me clear this. So I use something called Nano, and I feel like it's my personal preference that I use Nano because it's easy for me. So if I were to edit the file called rename.sh, you can see it brings up an Nano editor. And let's say you want to delete all these all these lines of code here. And let's say you made a change. For example, you added a function called testing. So let me just quickly put something in here. So like, for example, print hello. And let's say you're done editing now, and you want to write this out and save it as a file. You would press Control O, and it will ask you at the bottom file name to write. You can either overwrite the same file, or you can choose another file name. In this case, I'm going to overwrite it. And then you press Control X, and that would basically save everything and quit the Nano editor. So if you were to now spit out the content in the renamed file, you can see that it was successfully changed. And I think that's pretty much all the like main and easy type of commands. And I think that's the most basic stuff you would learn in many of the ECS courses. If you can learn these commands, it will be really easy for you to just navigate through the EECS terminal itself. There are many other commands that you will learn in your courses, which we're not going to go over in details. Maybe in the future, we might host another workshop part 2 for this, where we go in more depth of like some commands, for example, chmod, which basically like changes the permissions for a file and make it executable, changes the user permission and whatnot. So you will learn all this in your EECS courses. But overall, I think we covered mostly everything here. And I just want to say this and basically end it off with is that always remember this command, which is called man. In a test or a lab test, and also in your labs, let's say you forget something, you don't know what the function of it is. Like I mentioned before, always remember man. It's also, like I said, stands for manual. And you will basically put your command after that, and it will give you a descriptive information of that command. So always remember these commands. We will also put this list of commands in the Discord once we upload this video. I believe that's pretty much it. And thank you for coming to our, actually, never mind. There is one more thing that we need to cover. That is one more tool which utilizes the performance of RDP, Remote Desktop Protocol, which will give you a full-on graphical interface of the EECS machine itself. So if it would feel like you're actually sitting at the lab itself. So I'll let Whimsy take that over. Otherwise, I believe all the commands and the Unix stuff is done. So after Whimsy's done, he can conclude this workshop.
Yeah, thank you, Amin. Yeah, so as Amin mentioned, we're going to be linking everything that we talked about today, all the commands and everything. We made a PDF of all the commands and a little bit description of what each command does, as well as some links that you can use that are helpful, like the CyberDuck link and all that stuff, on our Discord page after we upload this video. But before I end it off this video, I just wanted to go over a new feature I think Lasan has, which is EECS Remote Lab. And for this one, all you have to do is just log in using your, pretty sure, EECS login. And as I'm gonna mention, this is just a uh, remote RDP. Um, what that is you're just accessing the desktop uh, in the Prism Lab computers. As you can see, there's like, a bunch of servers. There's a red server. There's I'm pretty sure EA servers, all the Prism Lab computers there are. So there's about 78. And let's just say that you're at your house and like we're all online right now, but in general, even if it's in person, let's just say you have to use an application like MATLAB, and you don't have it on your laptop or your desktop because it's licensed software, and you like to use it for free. So, for example, this application or this website, it lets you access one of these Prism Lab computers virtually in your house. Wait just a second, it's taking a bit time. As you can see, it's a little laggy as it's a new application. It's not only connecting to your computer, but it's connecting to the server, and then your server, your internet has to be also good, as well as your computer needs to handle everything. But as I was saying before, let's just say you have an assignment or a lab or some sort of tutorial you have to do on like a licensed application like MATLAB, and you don't have it on your laptop. This is when this tool or this website comes in clutch. Um, all the Prism Lab computers and EECS or laptops, any York computer in the Prism Lab, or they usually have MATLAB and other like licensed lab, software for free. That if you're a York student or ECS student, you have an ECS account, you can just use them. Well, while using their computers. So let's just say you don't have it on your laptop. You can always like do remotelab.ecs.yorku.ca. You can go into this website, and you can access whatever applications that York laptop, desktops have, as well as like mentioned before, you can always access the files on your desktop. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Like, this is not the best solution to transfer files or do your lab test on. If I were you, I would do my lab test or any of my assessments on my laptop and just transfer it over using a WinSCP, CyberDuck, or Terminal, like as we showed you earlier on, because this is a pretty laggy website. As you can tell, it's pretty, it's kind of it's memory consuming also. So it's not the best when you're under crunch time, but it's always, let's just say you're on your own time and you want to, explore some of the licensed applications that you don't usually have on your laptop. You can use this. And yeah, that's about it. As Aman mentioned, we're gonna be posting all these links and this video on our Discord server, as well as we might do a part 2 of this workshop. If you found this helpful, we might teach more about Bash and some of the things you can do with Bash, and how you can use terminal and how you can script using a terminal, Bash, and all that stuff. And yeah, thanks for reaching out to our workshop, and I hope you found this helpful. If you have any questions, feel free to always hit us up on our Discord. If you have any workshop ideas, or if you want any help with this workshop specifically, if you feel like something is not fully covered and you want us to go in even more depth, we can always do that for you. Thank you.